Okay, so today we're going to go into Illustrator and complete our shapes project. Let me just make this big. Here I should note some changes. The first change is I just wasn't thrilled with my stars, so I dragged a box over them using my selection tool and just moved them out to the margin where they won't get in the way because I don't think I'm going to use them. However, I'm not going to throw it away just in case when I finish the rest of these I don't like them as much as I think I'd like, in which case I could go back to the stars and delete one of these. Another thing to note is that I use the pen tool for the top three and these shapes. So I didn't use the shape tool as much as you probably will because I'm more experienced with the pen tool, and these shapes are a little bit simple to me, so I want to have something a little bit fun. However, you can see that probably my best one is done with the shape tool. Alright, so I'm going to take my selection tool now because I'm starting the last step of this. And by the way, just so you know why things are the way they are. This one does have two shapes in it. It wasn't intended to be that way originally. This was supposed to be all one shape. But when I created this shape, I made a mistake, and it ended up looking so cool that I decided to keep it. So there are two separate shapes in this one, and you're, of course, allowed to have two separate shapes in one of yours, too. Some of you can claim that this isn't a single shape, but they're all quadrilaterals, so that's the relationship that they have. They are individually created by the pen tool, and what I did when I was making these is I really made squares to start with, or basically squares, and then I used the direct selection tool, which is the white arrow, to start warping them and stretching them out and making them interesting. So that's what I did there. Alright, so the next step is now to start coloring them and adding variation, just like we did with the lines, with one exception. Alright, the main exception is going to be that now we can start adding fills. So I want you to make sure that none of your shapes match by all of these things. So now I'm taking them and I'm trying to color some of them, and I just changed the stroke of that one. I'm going to change the color of this one. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to make everyone in here blue and or purple. That's my my color theme for this set here. So I'm going to fast forward that so you don't have to watch me color everything. I changed the stroke for some of them to 3. I colored the stroke for some of them within my color scheme. I also decided to make it green, blue, and purple. And I want to talk to you about the fades. So the way that you make fades, which are also called gradients in these programs, Adobe programs, and in real life, you can go into the fill, but there's this little folder here that has all this other stuff that I brought up once before. Gradients is a really cool place to hang out. So when I pressed, I chose gems and jewels, but any of these are pretty cool. I chose gems and jewels and all these cool fades came up. So all I have to do is now select one of them and I can put a cool fade on it. So that's how that worked. Also in there, by the way, if you explore, which I'm hoping that you do, you'll find other cool things like patterns and all types of stuff. So check these out. I don't want to get too far into it because I'd rather that you did the exploring, but gradients and patterns are really cool places to go. And some of these are just flat colors, so you'll be disappointed with some of them, but definitely feel free to check them out, see what they have. The only way you'll find out what's in there is if you look. So all I did to do that was, as usual, I go to my selection tool and I change these things, this thing. Now, if I wanted to, I could have went the extra mile in this group and I could have changed some of the textures around them, and it probably would have looked awesome. So at first I was like, you know, I'm not going to do it to this one, but now that I've done it to a couple pieces, I'm really liking it. So I'm going to include that. I'm not going to go too wild because already this, like, you know that this is going to go with your lines too, and we don't want to make it look too messy. So I'm going to try and keep it contained, but I am going to try and be explorative at the same time. So you'll have to balance that out for each of yourselves. Okay, so I'm not going to lie, I got a little bit carried away and I started doing a few of them just because I actually enjoy this. Here's some of the patterns I was talking about. To be honest, I'm not in love with that last one, so I'm going to probably change it. And the way that I got it, just as a quick review, is to go to strokes and check out this folder, and I went to patterns, and there's some basic graphic patterns in there, and that's what I was using. But I'm still checking it out for that one. And it's kind of cool. All right, all these patterns were found in those folders, and the solid colors are of course up there as well. And when you pick a pattern, by the way, it goes into this little area so that you can easily find it to go back to it. But as you can see, it's moving along nicely. I haven't done much with the strokes yet. However, I'm planning to go back to it. So you might see me again in a couple minutes. So the last thing that we want to do is group them. We're going to use our selection tool and just slide a group over each composition, or sorry, slide a box over each composition, and then we're going to press Command G to group it. All right, once they're grouped, I'm going to do this to every one. Once they're grouped, they will move, duplicate, and transform as a group. And this way, if you accidentally get things too close together, they won't mix in with the others. Okay, so the next step is creating our action words. See you in the next video.